Good evening. It is 5:01 p.m. This is the Public Safety Committee meeting on March 16th, 2026. I'm Rob Watton, Chair of the committee, and I am calling us to order. First order of business is roll call, and we have members of the committee here present, Councilmember Cotton, Councilmember Holloway, as well as City Attorney Dina Burke, Mayor James Mayhew, and Rebecca Solom. And welcome all. So first order of business next is the approval of the agenda as presented. Are there any corrections, additions to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll accept the agenda as presented. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to public comments. If you happen to be in person, we welcome your comments. You're given up to 3 minutes here to present. If you're not here, you can always send in your comments to the city clerk, to the city mayor, or to the council members, and we will make sure that those are noted. We'll move on to the minutes. And we have 2 sets of minutes. We need to approve the minutes, first of all, dated February 17th, 2026. Council members, are there any additions to the minutes from the 17th of February?
None that I saw.
Seeing none, we'll go ahead and approve the minutes from February 17th, 2026. And then next is the approval of the minutes dated March 2nd, 2026. Are there any corrections to those minutes?
Not that I saw.
No. Seeing none, we will approve the minutes of March 2nd, 2026. And now, the real reason why you were here tonight, and that's agenda bills. We've got just one this evening. It's AB 26-005, ordinance amending chapter 10.24, compression brakes. And before I call the chief up to present on that, we do have a modification from the city attorney, and it's on section 3. And Attorney Burke, would you care to fill us in on the last line, please?
Thank you, Chair. In section 3, that's the corrections by city clerk or code revisor. There's a minor typo in the last clause. It should read or ordinance, comma, section, comma, or subsection numbering. So if the committee recommends this goes forward to council, I would recommend that typo be fixed.
Council members, is there any objection to changing the wording and cleaning it up as we move forward? Hearing none, we'll accept that as an amended portion to tonight's agenda bill. And with that, I'm going to call on Chief Haracy to bring us up to speed on changes to the compression brakes. And this is to approve ordinance 1317 and amend the Snoqualmie Municipal Code of 10.24 on compression brakes. You can do it from the comfort of your chair. You don't even need to stand up.
I have a mic now. Good evening, council members, mayor, interim chief Gary Haracy. And this agenda bill seeks to repeal and replace chapter 1024 on the compression brakes, which was originally adopted by the city in 1986. I'll just say the city of Snoqualmie has received multiple complaints regarding compression brakes used in the city. And through doing some research, and looking at our previous or the current ordinance, we feel there needs to be some updates defining what a motor vehicle is, defining what a compression brake, Jake brake is, or better known as a Jacobs brake, and just kind of updating the code from back then to bring it more into the standards of what Snoqualmie is now with the residential areas, to address the concerns, especially along the Parkway and 202, where we get a lot of truck traffic. So we're asking to update that with the ordinance that's been presented before you, which defines the engine compression brake, a motor vehicle, and then it describes when it shall be used, which we're saying it shall not be used in the city. And then we also updated the penalty from $50 to $250. And then we added a piece in there talking about a signage addition, which we already have the signs in place, but our current ordinance doesn't really address that. So we're adding that piece in there. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or give you a little, provide more information if needed.
Thank you, Chief. The very first thing, the ordinance as it stands now is from 1986, if I followed correctly.
Correct.
And that was before the Parkway was even imagined or built, because that came along about 10 years later. You couldn't even go up past where the hospital is now from 18. So just put it in context, things have changed a little bit, and a few houses have been built where they're probably affected the most. So that's my commentary. Councilmember Cotton.
Yes, I just was wondering, so, because even, downtown, you can hear both those areas when trucks are trying to run the red light down, to get back to the quarry. And they, because you can hear them accelerating and trying to beat the light, and then they hammer down on the Jake brake, and the sound carries tremendously. How will PD actually enforce that? I mean, unless you're obviously witnessing it, is there, I mean, you can't really do it from citizen complaints, right?
No, ma'am. We have to on view the violation. The officers have been instructed to put a focus and an emphasis on this along the Parkway, listening for it. Part of it is there's twofold to this. Yes, and I heard it last week sitting in my office working on other things where I heard the Jake brake being utilized.
Yeah.
But we also have the noise coming up the Parkway where they're just trying to maintain a speed. So there's two different distinct sounds. The Jake brake has a little bit of a faster repetition to it because it's compression pushed back on the engine from the exhaust system. And so we'll on view, and then we will, issue a citation if necessary. There's officer discretion in that. But we've also asked, and I'll get into it a little bit later on the next presentation, but I've also asked for this to be addressed with the Commercial Motor Vehicle Division of State Patrol while they're out in the area, just to provide assistance when our officers are tied up on things or not necessarily on the Parkway. So I've asked for a little bit of assistance. That'll be addressed more so in other areas, or they can cite into our court. And then we would obviously cite into our court on a municipal side, whether it's under the 1986 version at $50, or if we update it in the next council meetings, that it would be a $250 fine or whatever y'all may choose to change or whatever. We're recommending a $250 fine.
Yes, a follow-up, Councilmember Cotton.
Follow-up is, so if we pass this through, whatever the fine, and I agree with it being a higher fine, is this something where we could notify all the trucking companies out there by Mill Pond, the owners that, hey, this has gone up and it could make a dent in your wallet?
So I've already started reaching out to some of those companies through our officer who's actually on light duty right now, going,
Okay.
hey, we're seeing these issues. And one of them we'll talk about in a little bit, and reaching out to the companies that we see frequently down the Parkway going, hey, we're trying to address this. We're giving you a heads up, and we're just doing that communication going, we need y'all to help us.
Great.
So there is that notification already taking place in a lot of areas.
Super. Okay.
All right, Councilmember Holloway.
Why 250?
I looked at different ordinances and talked to the prosecutor's office, and that was something that is just kind of becoming more of a standard. They range from anywhere from 150 to 250 based on the time frame from 1986. Obviously, inflation has changed what fines look like, and so I'm kind of trying to stay with industry standard right now.
Okay. And
Go ahead.
help me why we're making this change. Again, the defining of a compression brake, I don't necessarily believe that helps you in further enforcement, but it does define it, defining a motor vehicle. I think we know a tractor is a motor vehicle, so I don't think we often get questions along those lines. Is really the intent here to do some of that cleanup, but also to update the fine level?
It's just to do everything, kind of bring it up to speed, say that when they're not authorized, provide the definition of what they are, because there's different variations of it. So it's not just a Jacobson brake, which is a brand name. And then yes, to update the penalties. And then we obviously added the signage piece into this, saying that we have it posted, which we already do, but it's not currently listed in our ordinance. So we're just kind of bringing everything up to speed.
And the prior ordinance inhibited you from enforcement?
No, it just, we're trying to clearly define it so that there's no argument on the court side and prosecution saying, well, you didn't post it. But this way we're saying we have signs posted on the parkway going both directions saying compression brakes are illegal. But it's not in there. So it just helps us with the prosecution side when I ran it through them, that they asked for that to be defined as well.
Any further questions, council member? This is good. I've got one. Does speed have anything to do with increased usage? Because as you're mentioning that you can hear from your office the trucks coming up the parkway as well as those that are coming down and braking.
So compression brakes are used on the downhill.
Right,
They're not on the
right.
uphill. So speed can play a factor in it a little bit. It also depends on what their weight load is and everything else. If they're hauling, let's say they're leaving the construction site at the hospital or at I-90 and 18 when they were moving a bunch of stuff, the heavier the load, the louder that compression brake's going to be, because it's got a heavier weight limit that it's trying to reduce. So it's kind of a combination of those two. And then the noise going up is just them carrying that load up the hill.
Right. All right.
And it's as much a style on the part of the driver as it is, he can use the brakes. They're designed for it. He wants to save on the brakes, he'll use the Jake. Driver option.
Okay. All right. Any further questions, Mayor, administration, other council member Cotton? Do you have any issues moving this forward to the full council for consideration at this point?
No issues.
No issues.
And this is a 2 reading
Yes.
process anyway. Okay. And if there's no objection, we'll just go ahead and ask for that on the F&A calendar and for on the regular calendar as well. Okay.
I think it's already there.
All right. Yeah. Well,
Probably
the
already
sample-
written, ready to go tomorrow. Yeah. Or
Fabulous.
Wednesday.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Hearing no objection, we will move the agenda bill AB 26-005, ordinance amending chapter 10.24 compression brakes to the council agenda. And we've got 2 more items of discussion. Is there anything else? Are you good? You're good.
Yes, I was
Yeah,
trying to figure out how
okay,
to.
all right.
We realized we didn't know which one of us was going to cause it to be on the screen.
Oh, okay.
I can do
That's
it.
important.
That is.
Okay, so while you're queuing that up over there,
Yes.
because all I do is sit here and just kind of entertain everyone. Our next point is to go on to discussions. And the very first one is the police chief timeline. And who is leading off on this?
That's the one we're trying to put on the
Okay.
screen.
All right.
Mr. Jimmy, can you promote me to panelist so I can share my
On
screen?
the edge of our seats. There we go.
All right. Can you all see that? Do we
Clear as day.
zoom in a bit?
Mayor, I presume you're presenting on this.
Correct.
All right.
All right.
Mayor
So that-
Mayhew.
That is the calendar for March. So the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of March. This is the timeline we have for interviews, public interviews, council interviews, the various interviews that are going to happen. with the police chief finalist candidates. So I wanted to make you aware of that. So on the 23rd, there's some internal interviewing still going on. On the 24th, we'll have meet and greets in the council chambers from 2 to 4 o'clock. We've invited business owners from throughout the city to come in, and they'll have a chance to just interact with the different candidates. From 6:30 to 8, same thing. This time we've just invited the community residents to come in. The idea between doing those two groups separately is that they might have different sort of nature of questions, focus of questions. So we want to enable that. And then it's also two different times of day so that folks that can maybe not make one can make the other. Then on the 25th, Wednesday, the 25th, from 4 to 6 p.m., we'll have a council meet and greet. So this is just you council members. Chairs over there.
Oh, yes. Yes, please,
So maybe
Councilmember Cotton.
Interject, isn't this the one where we had one of the conflicts with schedule? Because that is, coming up on when we were having the SVGA meeting, or is this to try and get it done before we?
No, that was just there was an error in the email that went out to you. There actually never was a conflict. We just told you the wrong date. So the email that I sent to you said that the thing that you see there on the 25th, in my email to you, I told you it was on the 24th, which would have been a conflict because the 24th is the SVGA meeting.
No, that's.
No,
on
I'm saying it
Wednesday.
backwards.
Yeah, the SVGA meetings are on Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah, they've always been on the last Wednesday.
All right, I'll just make sure that this is clarified, but the day that we have lined up for you is not the same day as the SVGA. So now if this is an error,
I thought it got moved to Thursday by an email from Nicole.
yeah, we never moved it. It was just that we told you the wrong thing. So let me find out. Sounds like I need to double check the calendar and clear this up. So I'll send you an email,
Okay.
meaning
Appreciate
the
it.
three of you. And if there's any correcting this, and if there's any mistake in what's gone out to the full council, then we'll correct that as well.
Great. Thank you.
So over those 3 days, the point here is, well, the point was to tell you the plan, but 3 different groups of community meet and greets with the candidates is kind of our plan over a 3-day period.
Councilmember Holloway.
And where does the council participate in interviews?
That's the 4 to 6 p.m. meet and greet on the 25th.
That's a meet and greet.
Yeah.
It has often been the case where the council participates in interviews in addition to meet and greet.
We wasn't planning to do that.
I don't like that. Again, it has been practice, council participate in the interview, particularly of
Department heads.
director, chief and what, and at that level.
It will be hard to schedule a 7 council member interview.
No,
Mm-mm.
No,
it's representative. It's like 2 council members participate in one of the interview panels. Or there's usually a staff level interview, and then there's a call it executive level interview, and the council participates 1 to 2 members in that executive level interview. Meet and greet, again, the positions have to be ratified by the council. It helps in that decision.
Yeah, so the goal here was to enable the full council to have interaction with the candidates so they'd be in a position to cast their vote to confirm or not confirm an appointment. And so since every council member has to take that vote, the goal was to try and enable all of the council members to have interaction that would allow them to do that. I'm guessing you're not against that, or
I'm not against the meet and greet. So representative council members need to participate in an interview panel. Your choice where. But there needs to be participation by representative council in that interview process. We're not gonna get down to issues over cheese and grape juice. I won't say wine, because I assume it's not wine.
We wish.
Yeah, it should be a lot easier.
So switching back to the meet and greet for just a moment, the goal is to absolutely make that a useful meeting because the only people invited are the 7 council members. So whatever format so I know you're talking about something else. I'm not ignoring that. I'm just saying with regard to the meet and greet, if you'd let us know what would be the most useful format for the meet and greet that all 7 of you hopefully will be able to participate in. I'd like to set that up in whatever format is most helpful. And then your other request is have 1 or 2 council members involved on an interview panel as well. So I'm hearing that, but so I don't have an answer for you on that right now. We'll have to go back and think about that. But with regard to the meet and greet, if you could tell us if what format would be most useful, that would be great.
I think the point is this, Mayor, is we've all gone through several different panels and department heads, and typically the chair of each of the committees is involved in it, plus another member, could be from the committee or another committee, one of the 7, but being involved in that process has been enlightening because we bring the perspective of hopefully all 7 in our concerns, and we kind of come back with a sense of trust. And by the time it's determined who the pick is, there's already buy-in by certain members. And we look to each other for that guidance. And you were part of the council as well. So, I mean, this is not foreign to you as well. But I think to Councilmember Holloway, and I think Councilmember Cotton is going to chime in here in a moment as well, which I welcome, we need to make sure there's a diversity of point of view, because what we as the 7 council members is what you were a part of. We have a different perspective than what other department heads, other folks that may be stakeholders in the community. And we come together and coalesce. And then when that person is chosen, hopefully we're all of the same mindset. And I think that's part of the concern. And secondly, it comes back to Open Public Meeting Acts. If we are 7 meeting the candidate, I'm not sure that it's going to give the right perception if it's closed and not inclusive of the community, so that we're not like creating and making decision on our own. And I think, Attorney Burke may want to chime in or may not.
All right, can we just go, you
Okay.
brought up a whole bunch of points, so let's go through them. That'd be all right.
Sure.
First off, one of the things I'm responding to is complaints by your fellow council members about council members who've been excluded. They weren't on the interview panel and have expressed, several of them, frustration with that. So the goal here, my goal, is to include the council in ways that let the council get to the very important confirmation decision they have to make in the way that most helps you. So this is not a difference of opinion. Whatever helps you is what we're going to do. So what I need to hear from you is what would help you, and then that's what we'll do. But do be mindful that council members that aren't the ones that are on the interview panel have expressed frustration with that. So if we can find some set of things, maybe it's a meet and greet and panel, like if we can find some set of things that kind of help all 7 of you get to the decision you need to make, then that's what I'm in favor of. City Attorney, one question was brought up is this meet and greet and OPMA concerns. Do you have any comment on that?
Yes, Mayor, I would recommend it being noticed as a special meeting. So technically, members of the public could attend in the audience, but it could be whatever format, council desires, for asking the candidates questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Cotton.
So my question kind of dovetails in on that last part is that, and I do think we should at least do a combination of the two, have several council members involved with the interviews, and then we can also have the council meet and greet, so nobody's noses get out of joint about not being on the interview panel. My question was more to, you had made a comment, Mayor, about us kind of coalescing or, our vote. And so when would we do that, since as far as making a decision of the council? Because obviously we would want to be talking about it probably amongst ourselves, as far as, if it was down to a couple of candidates and things like that. So what's the kind of the vision or process we see for that?
If I may, just as a reminder, the pick of the administrative head is the mayor's, unless I'm wrong, is the mayor's choice, but they're confirmed by the council. So we go through this process, it's a vetting process, and then the mayor gets to make the ultimate recommendation back to the council. And Councilmember Holloway, you've been through this a gazillion times. Please help me if I'm missing anything.
Use a different number, but
You're a veteran. You're a veteran. So as far as that, I mean, what we're doing is we're helping to vet the candidates and help the mayor in his decision, but it's ultimately the mayor that gets to choose who he appoints and we confirm. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And the point I'd add here is the council members have a lot of, well, evidently one of them has a lot of experience gazillion times. Others have, no, but in all seriousness, council members have a perspective that will advise. So I think as I make this choice, the advice of council members is something I very much could use. So I think there's two concepts here: is help advise. Great, that will help me and guide me in my decision. But ultimately, you have, as a body, the final say. You'll either confirm or not. So you're also trying to accomplish your own task of deciding, each of you, how you will vote. So there's sort of two things I'm hoping to get out of this: the advice, and then obviously the confirmation of whatever choice. And to the question of what's the time frame, my answer is it sort of depends. It may be that we go through this process and most people feel that the answer is very clear, very quickly, and we move quickly. It may be that it's not so clear. So it sort of depends how we go. So I haven't put in a specific date, but the intention would be to move following this process expeditiously, shall we say, to a decision.
So, Councilmember Holloway.
privately, I can tell you offline. There have been two separate occasions when I have advised the then standing mayor not to pick a particular candidate for various reasons. I can name two instances in which that advice was taken but gone a different direction and proved very detrimental to the city. You've left no opportunity for that interaction. That happened as part of the interview activity. If you're setting this up in which, if I don't like a candidate, I've got to rip them open in a public meeting, I'm kind of at the stage of my career, I'll do that. Okay, but I don't think that's the proper way. I don't think that leads to good feelings at that meeting if we have to, basically gut the candidate in public. Whichever way the vote goes, I'd rather step into it. And part of that is representative council participation in the interview, on which there can be, again, post-interview discussion of good candidate, bad candidate, don't like that, like that. What does that mean? So you can tell I'm strongly feeling there needs to be council participation in an interview format.
Mayor Mayhew.
That sounds fantastic. I think my intention, which I sort of wrote down here, maybe we need to actually come back to you and talk about or lay out a consultation process. My thought was, frankly, after the council meet and greet, my intention was to, in fact, poll one-on-one. And when I say poll, let me say it differently. to speak with each of the 7 council members and receive their advice individually and sort of in whatever length of time to sort of explore that. So I really had an idea of a process of really going to the council members who had come, hopefully all of them, saying, what did you think? Why? Tell me more. What about this? What about that? And really kind of get the full benefit of that advice. So my intent is a process of interacting with you all one-on-one, excuse me, one-on-one. So maybe we should sort of put that in there, process time frame, a consultation process time. So I'll think about that and put it on the agenda or on the calendar.
May I make another suggestion? And I have similar feelings. However, they're honed a little differently. That's all. And I think the concern is this. You have you have 2 panel interviews. I don't know exactly what the format is on that. I'd like to see the council members that want to participate in the interview process be included somehow, some way. And for instance, maybe they're included in the panel interviews where there's a couple council members, but also give them the option if they don't have the time to participate in the meet and greet with the business owners to hear that context, with the community to hear that context, or be included in the mayor's interview panel. That would be my suggestion. And maybe all 7 or 6 now, 6, 4 or 5 are able to, and somebody's just simply because of their schedule not able to. I think there would be more comfort around the council, and that's what I'm hearing from Councilmember Holloway. And we've all have hired people, whether it's through the city or through our own businesses, and realize the times that, those interviews, you try to make them a little bit better each time, because that's the one chance where you can kind of understand a little bit more deeply about the candidate. And I totally agree with Councilmember Holloway, and that is just doing the meet and greet and us all being really nice to each other. And sometimes the brutal reality is business has to happen. And the business of our community is incredibly important. This is a very important role. And it's the process is ultimately up to you, but we're just asking for greater involvement than the meet and greet. I think that's what I'm hearing is there's different ways that we want to be involved, and we want to be able to be there to help support whomever you pick and wholeheartedly support that, not only the confirmation, but also in supporting them going forward. So that's just my one perspective to it. Councilmember Holloway.
So why don't we put on the council agenda, a discussion on meet and greet options? If you guys could give us some talking material, it's kind of an open-ended question at this stage, and that'll get silence. To have a discussion on council panel interview. And you're hearing, Jim, I'll tell you, you're hearing from 3 council members, and I'm not hearing acceptance of the feedback. So let's put it on the council agenda. Make sure you're just not hearing from 3 minority members with the full council. Let's have a discussion on council panel.
Okay. Yeah, Mayor,
If I could.
please.
I'm not sure why you're not hearing yes, because I'm practically screaming yes.
Because you haven't made any changes to that chart.
He doesn't like the font either,
writing
I
but
don't like the font either. That's a horrible font, but that was not, I wasn't gonna bring that up. But so how are we changing this, and where does council participate?
yes, that deserves an answer.
and we don't have to have one tonight. You
Yeah,
have,
look, this requires thought. Honestly, we can't put council members in panels with staff. Just cancel the interview. Staff will shut up the minute one of you show. That doesn't
Yeah.
work.
That's inappropriate.
So I absolutely hear what you want. I'm trying to tell you, yes, we'll find a way to facilitate what you want. I just got to figure out how that will work.
That's fair.
And I'm not going to shoot from the hip, but give us 24 hours to figure it out.
Okay.
That's fair. Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. Right.
Sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to say from a legal
No,
perspective.
he has to
Oh,
recognize you.
yes, please.
Sorry.
Attorney Burke, you got precedence over all of us.
Oh, thanks. Just, if we could get 24 hours notice so we can post
Mhm.
potential quorum or special meetings, that's the only
Oh,
thing
yeah.
I would ask for.
Can we change the font?
I didn't draft this, but absolutely, I will tell the person who drafted it to change the font.
Okay.
That was just a side comment. You
Thank you,
need to
Rebecca.
make it a big deal. Go ahead.
Yes,
To
please.
be fair, I made it just for the mayor, and the mayor said that he loved it and to ask. So I made it for him only.
Oh, well, now that we know that, the font is fine.
No, but next time you make it for the mayor, you ask him, are you going to present it?
Ask that next time for sure.
Thank you. Sorry to out you on your font. All right. Moving right along. Let's switch
Mr.
gears.
Castilian. But anyway, go on.
Let's switch gears over to covered load enforcement discussion. Chief, which chief wants to take this one on? Please.
Good evening, council members again. So this is more of a discussion just to kind of update. We've been receiving a number of complaints around the city, mostly down the Parkway for unsecured loads, big trucks that don't have their loads covered, things like that, things falling from them in different areas of the Parkway. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, we've been reaching out to some of those companies that have been pointed out to us by community members when they see it and they get the name off the truck. And we'll reach out to them because, again, we have to on view that violation, which is an RCW. And then I've asked all the officers to, again, be mindful, pay attention, watch for things. If you see something falling out or you see an unsecured load, that they take enforcement action or at least an education piece going, hey, next time, or, whatever they feel that discretion needs to be. We've had some vehicles that have been struck by falling debris, things like that. So we're taking it very seriously. I've asked Washington State Patrol's Commercial Motor Vehicle Division to come out and provide a continuous assistance to us and kind of help us curb some of the commercial motor vehicle things that are going on. Again, the use of compression brakes and now this. And they have agreed. They're assigning that out. I've been in communication by email to one of the lieutenants and then the supervisor over the lieutenant that's actually over the commercial motor vehicle division in this section or in this district for them. So we're taking it serious. We're going to have some, if we see it, we will address it and hopefully curb this concern. And we're looking at both areas, 202 and the Parkway, which is our frequently traveled areas. Haven't had any complaints of them in any of the subdivisions, obviously, but those are our main focus points.
I do have a question. I think this is an awesome thing. Thank you for doing the covered loads. I have seen large rigs parked in neighborhoods, and I don't know if that's an issue. Maybe it was weather related, but with loads, huge industrial loads. Like for instance, a week ago, there was a flatbed truck with several rolls of AstroTurf, huge rolls parked in one of the neighborhoods. I don't remember where. And the more that we can do to make sure that we have a lot of truck traffic that goes up and down the Parkway. The Parkway is not built for trucks to begin with. It's built for cars, even though it looks like a freeway. I think the more that we can do to help bring some harmony to our residents, the better off we are. So yay on Jake brakes, yay on covered loads. Third one is speed. and you're addressing that. Maybe we need cameras for uncovered loads. I don't know, but anyway, those are my perspectives as far as this is a discussion for the committee. Is the other council members have any questions or input?
I-
Covered loads.
For those companies, if, you know, if Jake breaks are an issue, uncovered loads are an issue, wear and tear on the streets an issue, maybe that's a non-commercial street.
And you know, to address like the parking concerns, we've been addressing parking concerns with the 18-wheelers. We had one not that long ago on Douglas that we addressed. And we're constantly reviewing things. I mean, you're gonna see several ordinances over the next, you know, year or more where we're just trying to update things that, you know, I think we have one coming forward to y'all soon that was original from 1903. So there's a lot of things that we just have to bring and get up to date. And if we see something, we're addressing it. Parking is one of those concerns, specifically for the downtown area, because there's a lot of issues there. But with this issue, it is something that is on our radar. We need to, you know, at least address it. And like I said, we're also communicating with those companies. Once we're told who they are, if somebody sees it, even if we don't see it and they just shoot us an email, that communication goes a long way with a company. When we contact management, go, hey, this is what was seen today. Can you have a conversation with your truck drivers? And then we go from there.
Thank you. Councilmember Cotton.
Is there an ordinance already existing, like from 1986 on the covered load enforcement?
So the covering of loads is actually handled by the RCW. It's under the unsecured load. So we don't need an ordinance on that one.
Okay.
It's state law.
Okay,
And so that's one of the reasons, like commercial, having commercial motor vehicle group from State Patrol come out. It's across the board the same. They're not trying to enforce an ordinance citing it into our court. Theirs would go to district court, ours would go to municipal court, but it's the same law.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, please.
If I could, we've had a increasing number of complaints come in on covered loads. To be specific, they don't complain about covered load. They complain about the little rock chips hitting their windshield and, you know, boom, there's your $500 deductible and your insurance rate goes up next year. So a question I have for you is, as we sort of move into more enforcement of this, is this something you want to have a discussion with at council such that, and is it something you want us to start doing some communications around? So we start to get the word out to residents that really we are being responsive to this concern. So i.e. great, police department's doing some things. Do you want to do beyond that, do some communications things around this, maybe with the rest of the council and or with the rest of the community?
Okay. We'll do a round robin. My preference is the administration just puts out the message that covered loads is important. Jake breaks exists. We have an ordinance and speed is a concern. And that can all come from the administration side, except we have to pass this ordinance piece first on that. But other council members?
In the, at least the public safety section of the council agenda coming up, as chair, can you just mention that we had conversations in regards to uncovered loads? They've got the Jake break, which they'll have.
Mhm.
And what was the other one?
Speed and parking.
Speed and parking.
Okay.
And just
Yeah.
make the rest of the council aware of those conversations that are going on. And yeah, I got in the community newsletter or whatever. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not sure you're getting the right audience, but yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
If I could on the audience, the point there is to let the community know that
Yeah.
we are responding
Mhm.
and that we're doing some things in this area. I think is the point I was trying to make. Yes, the people who are causing the problem are probably not paying attention to
Right.
our communications.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Councilmember Cotton.
And that I was along that same line. I was just wondering if since the truck drivers, may not reside in this area where they're necessarily reading the community news, but I would think that to emphasize that, the, WashDOT, I'm not, is, Washington State Patrol is also in, adding to the enforcement. Fines have been increasing, all those types of things I think are good approaches to the communication that we put out, so that we're taking it seriously.
Well done. One more, yes.
But are the
please.
truck drivers Teamsters?
They may or may not be.
They
Depends on the
could
company.
be, I don't know.
I don't know. It may be interesting to contact the Teamsters and say, hey, this has become an issue. Whether whatever they want to do with it, they may do a general community. They probably have a newsletter to say, hey, there's heightened concern about unsecured loads and Jake breaks and all that.
Mayor Mayhew.
Washington Truckers Association, there's a number along
There
the
you go.
lines of what you're saying. There are groups that we can go to, and so we'll do that as well to get the word out. As you all know, with regard to the rocks, it's the quarry, and they go up the parkway to get to I-90, and when they don't cover the load,
Yeah.
our residents pay for it with their windshields.
Well, and out of all fairness, covering the load helps to mitigate some of it, but whenever you put loose rock in the bed of a truck,
What could
things
go
will
wrong?
happen.
Oh, what could go
So
wrong?
it's like, yeah, it's just one of those things, but we definitely want to do everything to keep our community safe. And so thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Holloway. I will definitely make sure that that's part of the report out. And then with that, we're down to, unless there's anything else you want to add, Chief, thank you very much, Chief Haracy. Items for future discussion. Councilmember Cotton, please.
Well, I always have something.
It's okay. It's good. That's why we're here.
And this may actually be more relevant after tomorrow's open house or meeting with the public, but I would certainly like to see, even though the Jupiter Power battery energy storage system is not within the city limits, it's immediately adjacent. And I do believe it's a matter of public safety in the fact that our fire department will be the first agency to respond to any issues there. And so I certainly think that, pending what's happening going forward, this is something that definitely needs to be on our radar from a public safety standpoint, that we would probably be having more discussions about.
Okay, well, we will take that under advisement. The current permit process has been halted. They've withdrawn the permit. However, there's a public hearing tomorrow night, or a public presentation tomorrow night, thank you, sorry, said the wrong thing, where we can learn more about it, and we'll continue to lean in. Anything else that Chief Bailey or the mayor would like to add?
Not right now.
Good, right, yeah.
It's
We're just kind of on a wait
Something we're
and see.
monitoring very closely. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Hearing none, I will call for the adjournment. Any objection to adjourning? And hearing none, we stand adjourned at 5:50 PM. Thank you very much.